I'm not gonna lie, it seems like since last video when I made that prayer for a healthy new exciting season, everything's been kind of going the opposite direction. Important players and stars, they seem like they're getting hurt left and right, so let's just hope and pray we don't get any more. But this video really isn't to talk about that. In this video, I'm talking about stars that I feel like must change their ways or their tendencies if they really want to win. But before we get into all that, and I know all my OGs know I do this every single video, but I kind of have to. If you guys like the video, please leave a like. I'm not asking you to donate to me or none of that, but just like the video. That really helps my channel out a lot. Subscribe if you're new. You're gonna love the channel, bro. I ain't BSing you. You're gonna like the channel. It's good content. So subscribe and hit the like button. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge for the team this year is our defensive performance. Not just Clay, it's the rest of the guys that we lost. We basically lost our entire wing fleet of long-armed, long-limbed defenders.
If you know me, you'll know that DAngelo Russell is absolutely my favorite NBA player. Just a little background on why. I'm a big Ohio State football and basketball fan. I'm not from Ohio, I just love the brand. So when he played for the Buckeyes and he had his little run, I was absolutely sold on his game, and I've been a fan since. Anyways, since he left the Lakers in that disrespectful ass way by the front office, D'Lo really turned his career around. The first thing people obviously thought about him when he first got traded was, you know, the whole Nick Young and Iggy situation with the snitch and all that, but now he's become one of the more creative, deadly scorers that we have. But with all that being said, the only problem and the only tweak that I feel like he absolutely has to work on this year is his defense. I don't think he's an awful defender like some people make him out to be, but it definitely needs a little bit of work. Last year, his defensive ranking ranked about 84th in the league with a 110 defensive rating. That's not too good, and you know who was right above him in that ranking? Stephen Curry. They're sharing a backcourt this year in the Western Conference, and they probably won't have one of the best perimeter defenders to bail them out against the top tier guards, so somebody has to step up, and typically it's the bigger guard. Also, last year in the playoffs, D'Lo's defensive rating was about a 117, while his offensive rating was only an 89. Basically, for all of you guys who don't know too much about advanced stats, defensive rating is how many points you give up per 100 possessions, and offensive rating is how many points you account for per 100 possessions. So if you're giving up 117 and you're only accounting for 89, that's a 28-point deficit. And just for a comparison, Kawhi Leonard last year, his offensive rating was a 119 while his defensive rating was a 103. So you can kind of see how he's doing it on both sides of the court. So with the Warriors losing Klay Thompson, Iguodala, and Kevin Durant, they're going to need their guards to step up, so DAngelo Russell has to be one of those guards. Zion Williamson, and I know he's never played a real game in the NBA, so this may seem a bit unfair, but let's be real. He has to lose a little bit of weight. Zion, it seems like he's had a repeated history of knee tweaks and knee injuries, and I truly believe it's from all that damn weight and impact on his lower extremities. It can't hold up. We all know how his game is. Very high flying, very exciting, and very explosive, but we've seen some of the best people who look like they were in great shape suffer knee injuries, and they were never the same, and they played similar styles as Zion Williamson. I'm not a doctor in any way, but I know once you begin to lose cartilage in your knees after repeated knee surgeries, you're never the same. The cartilage in your knees, that's like that little cushion in between your bone joints that keep your bones from rubbing together. So after every surgery, once you lose a little bit of that cartilage, eventually it's going to be bone on bone and you'll never be the same. This is what happened to Brandon Roy and some of the best athletes. Like I said, I am not a doctor in any way, so I don't know that this is the definite case for Zion Williamson, but I do know if he doesn't take some of that weight off of his joints and bones in his knees, he can possibly suffer from some of these exact same problems. So for Zion, if he wants to last possibly a 100-game season, including the playoffs, he has to get in better shape, and it's just that simple.
Jimmy has ruined Karl-Anthony Towns.
He made him shoot the mad balls the other night.
You know,
He made him take himself out of the game.
how about this? If a guy comes to me, badmouth my two other players who are the best players on the team tell me he don't want to be here, you got to move him.
I think we all can agree Jimmy Butler has always been a great player. Also, I think his story and how much of a struggle his route to the NBA was, that ultimately made him a tougher player as a player with a chip on his shoulder at all times. I mean, on a night-to-night basis, we see how fierce of a competitor he always is, and we can truly appreciate that. But with all that great stuff being said, there is one thing that I believe is absolutely imperative for Jimmy Butler to develop with the Heat, and that's leadership. I mean, we all know the history of his career. I mean, battling teammates in Chicago, absolutely destroying his teammates in Minnesota, and even having early struggles with Philly. This is the key thing that I believe separated Kobe Bryant from early Kobe to later Kobe. That was leadership. Kobe even said once he learned and developed leadership, actually hearing his teammates out and learning from them, that's when he started winning championships without Shaq, because he learned that trait. I think Jimmy Butler and Kobe, they're very similar in the fact that they want to win so bad. They don't cheat the game, they don't take shortcuts, and they put everything into it. But let's be real, on an average NBA team, you're not going to have 15 Jimmy Butlers or 15 Kobe Bryants. So you have to kind of learn the people you're going to war with if you want to win. You can't play 1-on-5. Even with that crazy killer instinct, Jimmy Butler, with this young, inexperienced Heat team that he chose, he'll have to show patience and growth in his leadership qualities if he want to win. So it's just that simple. We'll see how that goes. Last year, we all seen it. Giannis was an absolute dog. He won the MVP, he dominated, he led his team with no other true star to 60 wins, and he was 2 games away from the NBA Finals. But with all that cute stuff and all that greatness and all that being said, what exactly kept him away from winning those 2 games to get to the NBA Finals? Because he was up 2-0. It was his biggest weakness. He got exposed. He has absolutely no perimeter game, and once it was game planned for and Kawhi Leonard cut off the paint, he had no answer. Any Giannis fan that loves him and support him and all this stuff, you might get mad at this, but I truly don't care. This is the absolute truth. As dominant as Giannis was last year, I want you to look at these shooting numbers that I thought were absolutely telling. These were his field goal attempts by distance last year. 57% of his shots were from 0 to 3 feet away from the basket. 15% of his shots were from 3 to 10 feet away from the basket. Only 5% of his shots were from 10 to 16 feet, basically near the free throw attempt. And only 6% of his shots were from 16 feet and beyond. And the only reason that is higher from the previous one is because that's where the 3-point line is. So obviously, if he needs to get a big shot, he's going to shoot from there. That just shows a complete lack of perimeter game, and he has to work on that. Just for comparison again, I have to use Kawhi Leonard, the guy that kind of stopped him last year. 10% of his shots were from 0 to 3 feet. 16% of his shots were from 3 to 10 feet away from the basket. 21% of his shots were from 10 to 16 feet away, so that's near the free throw line. And 26% was basically anything beyond that. So that shows a complete balance versus Giannis, where there was just basically paint dominance. I'm not saying this to bash him, because obviously he still has some level of success, a big level of success. But if he wants to get in that LeBron, Kawhi, KD class, which I don't think he's in right now, he has to develop that perimeter game. So that's all I'm saying. And lastly, talking about some damn Giannis, but Ben Simmons. I don't even have to speak on his too long, because y'all already know what I'm talking about. Basically, we just talked about Giannis and his distance and all this stuff, but I'm not even going to read Ben's. I'm just going to show y'all. His is just 10 times worse. This year, I mean, it is no question they're going to need Ben Simmons to shoot at least 10 to 15 footers, because they lost a lot of their perimeter shooting that they relied on heavy last year. JJ Redick and Jimmy Butler, they were basically their outside shooters, and they're gone. You don't want Joel Embiid to be out there shooting big ass bricks. You want him on the paint, because that's what he's there for. This year especially, they're going to need their guards to do guard-like things, and that starts with Ben Simmons with me. So I'm not saying Ben Simmons has to be JJ Redick, Stephen Curry, or James Harden, because he's obviously never going to naturally be that. I'm just saying this year especially, he's going to have to at least make some 10 to 15 footers, because if he doesn't, their floor spacing is going to be atrocious. They just got Al Horford and they already have Joel Embiid. It's not that much space on the floor. He'll have to improve this year, or else they just can't play that lineup together, because it just won't work like that. So, he has to make that improvement. If you guys like this video, like I said in the beginning of the video, please leave a like. If you are new to this channel, subscribe to the channel, man. The NBA just started and you're going to enjoy this channel, so do that for me. Connect with me on my social media sites. Do all that great stuff, guys. I hope you guys have a great day, and until next time, as always, watch some NBA and stay tuned.